Hello there. Good evening. Welcome to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here back on the channel for, of course, our post-match reaction live and in living colour, because it is Celtic 3, Rangers 1. It's a long overdue victory over our arch rivals, our new arch rivals, but they're still our arch rivals, the team across the city, and we finally got the job done. It wasn't done through Brendan ball. It wasn't done through shoehorn of death. It wasn't done through possession ball. It was done through something called a wee bit of old-fashioned direct football, and at times a bit of grit, determination, fight, and pulling one out the bag. Yeah. Long overdue, and as it says above there on the tagline, make your excuses, because regardless of what went down on that pitch today, the boys, Martin O'Neill, Maloney, and if you're not playing with intensity, they all deserved that victory today. Don't let the detractors tell you otherwise. Let them spin the narrative about sending offs that should have been, might have been, could have been, possibly been, penalties and everything else in between. At the end of the day, Celtic stood up, they showed fight, they showed grit, they showed determination, and they got the job done. And they find themselves now facing St Mirren in December for an opportunity to lift the Premier Sports Cup, the League Cup, as you know, old school, and the first opportunity to get that first bit of silverware in the cabinet. I'm, of course, joined by my right-hand man, my bearded brother, Paddy Boy. Paddy, mate, before we crack on, before we do the formalities, you're a happy man, yes?
Oh, mate, it's a beautiful Sunday. We came on here and we kind of joked about the intensity and things like that and what Fozzie was going to bring. Mate, he's brought the intensity. He really has. Listen, I don't know what's went on behind the scenes. I really don't, but there was a lot of rejuvenated characters in that Celtic team. There was a lot of people who stood up and were counted. And that's absolutely brilliant. You said there as well, we've got a final to look forward to, Steve-O, against St Mirren. And I just seen Eddie Girays in the comments there. Eddie's brother is a St Mirren fan. So that'll be a nice wee family feud in there. That'll be a good wee one to go see. I wonder if they'll be sitting in opposite sides of Hampden. That'd be quite cool.
Well, we'll take that into we say, listen, there's plenty to unpack. Of course, I've got my notes here. I'm sure you've got your notes. We've got our thoughts. And as always, we'll give you in complete, unbiased, unfiltered honesty. Because there was points, Paddy, let's be totally honest. Was it perfect? No, it wasn't.
No.
The result was sweet. And we will take it. But in classic Celtic fashion, we maybe made it a wee bit harder than it had to be for ourselves. Maybe that makes it all the wee bit sweeter. But at the end of the day, we got the job done. And we're going to dive into it. I want to get as many issues as always possible involved in the comments. Let us know who's your man of the match, standout performances, those controversial decisions in the match. What did you think? The referee, because listen, we're going to talk about that. Martin O'Neill brings guys in for the cold. What do you think? Reflections on Brendan Rodgers. Did Rodgers have it wrong? Did he dig his heels in? Whatever you want to talk about, try and get it up as much as we can and we'll bring it in, because this, as we always say, this is a conversation. It's not about us telling you how it went down. It's about what your thoughts are, and we'll bounce it all off ourselves, and that's the way it goes. But before we do that, as we say, thank you for everybody that's joining us. If you're watching us live or retrospectively, it does not matter. It's important that you are joining Celtic World Order. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you've not done that already, we are within touching distance, roughly about 100, I think, to hit that magical 3,000 mark. You can do that by hitting the subscribe. Cost you absolutely nothing. All the content's free. If you want to go one further, hit the bell icon. You'll get notified every time we go live. Get a wee thumbs up if you like it. Share it. Go mental. Tell more people. And if you want to help out, then you can. The member section, totally voluntary, $1.99, helps with overheads, helps with together, because this costs us money, and it's not unfair money for us. It's for the love of the game. As always, below are the social media tags for everywhere else that we are, and you can connect with. So let's get down to business, Paddy, as we say, and Celtic certainly did get down to business today in terms of that lineup, in terms of how things panned out. Yes, it was a good start. It was a big difference, wasn't it? We spoke about it. We say Falkirk's a mere footnote. It's only that performance against Falkirk only meant something if you carried that into today. And yes, with our dips and with our waves, and at times we were swimming in the tide, and at times it was by our own design. but we definitely followed up on it. And it's good to see that, because how many times this season so far, we've one wee golden nugget of performance where you think there's light at the end of the tunnel and then it goes away. No other day, mate.
No, listen, mate, we said it, that we came out and we said a game against Falkirk, you call it what it was. We looked rejuvenated. We looked as if we were up for it a little bit more. There was players that had been passengers basically in the side. And I think the changes that were made like before the Falkirk game, obviously bringing in Arnie Engels, who again, mate, we'll get on to. Arnie Engels was incredible today. I think just everybody that came in, everybody.
Paddy, I'm going to jump in. Listen, we're not going to have one of these podcasts. There will be minor critics. I'm surprised you said that, because personally, I thought Arnie Engels was just all right today.
No, mate. No, look at his delivery. His delivery into the box, his passion, his bite. He was everywhere on the park, mate. For me, like I say, I was sitting there with Joe and Chris watching the game, and I says to him, it was between him and Sarachi for me for man of the match. And then obviously Joe had said Tony Ralston as well, which when you look at what he went through in the game, Tony went to war the day. He really did. You can slag his defending all you want, but you know exactly what you get for Tony Ralston. And that's 110%. He absolutely went for it.
Yep.
Also live on TikTok as well, and there's a lot of people in the comments there agreeing with Arnie Engels. Totally agree. Arnie Engels was class today. That's
and that's the thing. This is what I love about it. This is what I love about these conversations. We say there's no to say you're right, I'm wrong, so on and so forth. I love it, because there's probably throughout the course of this stream when we do this, there's going to be many different opinions, and that is perfectly fine. And get yours in. Get them up. Paddy's monitoring the TikTok. I'm monitoring the YouTube stream. Let's try and get as much in as possible and make it happen. Sorry, Paddy, as you were, mate.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm just I'm reading all these comments here as well, just trying to kind of get in as much as possible for the TikTok side. Listen, we do stream on YouTube. That is our main channel. Get across there. But listen, mate, there wasn't really a bad performance in there. There was a few people who had not their best performances, and a few people that kind of looked a wee bit lackadaisical, but nah, mate, listen, going out there and doing that, when they went down to 10 men, we could have pushed on and went for it a little bit more, but I feel that in the end, we got over the line. We done enough. We done what we had to do. And that's something that we've missed out in the last 3-4 Celtic Rangers games as well. We've not really seen that. The intensity. Did you listen to Michael Stewart's commentary, mate? I thought there was a wee joke in there somewhere. I know Michael Stewart's not a favourite of everybody's, but the amount of times he said intensity, Celtic showing intensity. I think there's been a wee side bet in there that he's tried to get that one.
Do you know what I found was funny, though? And again, you talk about it, but don't want to get any commentators. There was so much contradictions going on that commentary, right? And we'll get into it when it was what was a red card, what wasn't a red card, what could have been a red card. You're like, it's one or the other, mate. Do you know what I mean? So, he did say it quite a lot, but yeah, there was a lot of that. So let's jump in, Paddy, as we always do. Look, we're not going to go blow by blow. I mean, in fairness, Paddy, we've not went blow for blow in a post-match in a long time. Why's that been? Because there's been, excuse my French, fuck all to talk about, right?
I know.
There's been a lot to talk about. And I've actually got my wee notes here, because I'm wee cover clogs, you know what I mean? And I've got them here. I've got wee scrolly notey, and we'll talk through them as we go. But yes, let's break it down. Let's take it straight off at the start, because everybody likes to know. You watched the game, you know the score, but we jump straight in for that absolute key point, and that is the starting lineup. So, you know what? We sat here, we were surmising, we were saying, where's it going to go? What's it going to do? And listen, we're not here to say that we're right, but we were right, because Trusty comes in, Scales is there, of course, Ralston, and then he says, well, if he plays Ralston, he has to play Maeda, because he needs the defensive cover, and it's pretty much as you were there, the lineup exactly as we had predicted in the pre-match sort of earlier on, and I think it was the right decision he made. And just on that, I know it's nothing to do with the game, but talk to me about Maeda's Serpico look with a slick back. He looked mental.
Oh, how good did that look? I know. I says to the boys as well, I says, all we need is a nice top knot. They'd be going for it. I looked a bit crazy. You were spot on with that, Steve. You look at Tony Ralston and what he gives, but he obviously does have the defensive frailties. Somebody's well said in the chat there, Tony Ralston would run through a wall for you. Yep, and the Bricky would probably build it back up again, because that's just what he does. But yeah, his defensive frailties, a few times we've seen Dyson coming back and getting involved and helping him out. And that's exactly what you need, mate. It's exactly the the word again, intensity that we need. It's seeing Dyson drive back 80 yards just to kick the ball out of the park. It's phenomenal, mate, and it's what we need going forward as players who are willing to show that ambition and that passion. And I thought as well, listen, I know we've not got on it yet, but when the subs happened, Jamesy Forrest done the exact same. He showed that passion, that intensity, that power that he was willing to run for the team. And aye, mate, brilliant, absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. So, Paddy, let's just jump in. Because I think the big calls were made right. And what I liked is, now I asked this question, Steve was in the chat there, and I had the pleasure of sitting watching my brother there in the game, and it was a great day. Him and Dr. Dave, we were all watching it together, so a big shout out to those boys there, and a thoroughly good night down there watching the game. It was nice to sit around with familiar friends and have a right good laugh and a good chat, and really enjoy the game for a while. But no, I digress. We sat and we had this conversation between ourselves, those friends that I'm speaking about, and we say, do you know what? It's easy maybe now when you look at the Falkirk result, when you look at today's result, to basically turn around and people go, oh, turning on Brendan. I ask you this question, Paddy. We looked at that lineup. We looked at the lineup for the game against Falkirk. And I asked him, I says, cards on the table. If Brendan Rodgers was in charge today, two questions. One, would you be confident of winning? The answer was universally no. And the second one was, do you think we would get that lineup? And the answer was no. You would have had Murray, you would have possibly had Donovan, you would have Rio Hatate straight in. You know, these are the things. It's about going back to the well, and I think that's the difference. And that's what I like about that lineup selection. No matter what you want to say about this temp team, right? Big decisions. Omitting Kieran Tierney, that was the other one. Kieran Tierney would have been directly, and I can guarantee you could put my house on it. Kieran Tierney would have been directly in. Tierney, Tierney, Rio Hatate, possibly Murray, and maybe Donovan. Straight in the team. The same old, nothing changes, and I like that. I like that boldness from Martin O'Neill to stand by his conviction, to say, no, these guys have been performing, these guys give me more, and it paid dividends, because up until obviously we'll get into the action, but opening phase, Celtic of old. There was nothing fancy about it, Paddy. It wasn't overcomplicated. It wasn't route one beating two veg football, but it was purposeful. Don't do something that you can do in 2 passes in 4. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly, mate. That's it. It was the passing and the moving and everything in between. I thought when Rio come on, the game slowed down as well. And having him out of the team, having Arnie Engels and Callum McGregor able to kind of do the holding role, frees up Benjamin Negrin and gives him the opportunity to push forward. I thought our midfield was brilliant today. I really did. I just thought for the start, they showed exactly why the manager put belief in them. He said as well, guys like Tierney getting dropped. How good is Sarachi, by the way? He gives you so much.
Paddy, and to think, when we were discussing about this guy, I would love to say, people say it's early, shot in the dark, but we know factually that if Celtic want to get involved with him, the fee's minimal, because the chat was when the chat was whenever we were bringing them in, it was $100,000 loan fee, and if you wanted to put a clause in, you were talking $500,000. Now I'm sorry, if the punts that Celtic like to do a punt, as we all know, mate, it's a no-brainer. See if he continues this trajectory he's on right now, get him involved in January, man.
Mate, you got to buy him. Just buy the boy. I was sitting in the lads there and I says, you never fall in love with a lone player, because it'll end up in tears. You'll end up just end of the season waving him goodbye, like, oh, goodbye, my sweet prince. And he's one of these guys I'd hate to see the back of him, mate. He just gives you so much. He's got that bit between the teeth. He doesn't back out of tackles. He can defend. He puts players out of the park. And I just thought he was absolutely brilliant. He's not scared to get in there and do the dirty stuff, which is absolutely perfect.
The thing I like about him is, and again, I put out a post, and we'll get on to him, right? Listen, to caveat, as we always say, we'll always be completely honest. Paddy might not agree with me. I certainly know when we were in our chat that Joe wasn't agreeing with me. When we start getting on to individual players, right, we know, and I wanted to bring this up here by its punches, we got a great result today. The serial winners that we know are back, but it doesn't mean that we take our eyes off what's happening behind the scenes. But equally as well, it doesn't mean we cannot say should have done better for certain players, because let's be totally honest, Paddy, certain players at certain points should have done better. It's no criticism. We're not flogging them. It's factual. Because, as I said at the top of the show, comfortable victory. But by God, mate, like, see if Celtic were 4-0 up at half-time, nobody could have had any criticisms. Nobody. But the reality is why weren't we 4-0 up and we're going at it? Because individual players not capitalising the key points. And that's the difference. That is the difference. And to quote, for just before we get into action, to quote, I had to do this. I excuse my impression. Martin Neal, wave after attack. Yeah, it was constant. It was genuinely glorious to watch. And it's something so simple in its style in terms of the way he play. Direct, forward, making it happen. As I said, once again, why do something in 4 passes when you can do it in 2?
Exactly, mate. And listen, like I said the last time, we've spoke to players that played under Martin O'Neill, and they told us that exact thing. He simplifies everything. He tells you basically to go out and do your job. He tells you just to go out there and keep it simple. 1 touch, 2 touch passing. You don't need to take 3, 4, 5 touches on the ball. We were cutting them apart with like 3 or 4 passes, and even when Tony Ralston was getting the ball and pinging it out to the left wing to Tanecki and stuff like that, that's something that we've really missed. That's something that we've not had for a long time, is this kind of changing the play, doing a bit of route one here and there, and mate, just a breath of fresh air. It's really totally different for the way Brendan was playing. And having Martin O'Neill obviously said he can't really take credit for it. It's probably all down to Sean Maloney and your man Fozzie for bringing in the intensity. But it's a breath of fresh air, mate. And listen, I'm looking forward to the next few games as well.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Now, let's try and jump into action. As we say, we'll do as we always do. We'll try and get through the players. And we'll talk more about the performances than the action. But it's been a long time, Paddy. I've got 3 pages of phone scrolling notes. And that's the kind of the annoying part of doing these kind of things. I watch the game, but son Hams, I'm in the digits on the phone because I need to remember it because I'll forget about it. Basically, I'm just trying to condense what I've got written here in front of me, right? I think for me, personally speaking, up until we scored 25 minutes, the first 25 minutes, Celtic are absolutely all over it. Now, I don't want to criticise, but I also want to highlight, as I said, we get the goal at 25 minutes. Great header. Dare I say it? Sutton-esque header from Johnny Kenny from that corner. But up until that point, I have my notes here. 3 occasions where Tanecki is in brilliant positions, getting ahead of Giga, getting down that wing, and the end product is poor. The one that particularly gets me is early on. I think it's maybe opening 5 minutes. He gets a break. He's behind. He's almost one-on-one. He's got the whole gate inside of the left-hand side of the pitch, and he just goes direct. Now, what you should do is, and again, Steve-O, you're not a professional footballer. You're a guy on a podcast. What you should do is you should cut across him. Why? Because Giga's behind him. He'll take him out. Not smart, not game, it doesn't not cover with that. And I felt in that opening 25 minutes, I've got one there. Tanecki cuts on, must carry the ball further, must go across to Giga. Then a second one, 9 minutes in, ball falls to him, nobody around him, leans into shot, skies it over the bar. Instantly straight after that, Tanecki, great break, poor cross into the box. In the opening 20 minutes, in that period, if he's a bit more wise, smart, dare I say it, composed, Celtic take the lead earlier, mate.
Yeah. Sebastian McGeady. That's what I was calling him, mate. Honestly, he's got all the ability in the world. He'll beat any player. After the first 5 minutes, mate, watching the game, I'm saying to the boys, listen, we've got them on toast. This is easy. This is shoot in. Every time he got the ball, he looked dangerous, but then, like you say, the end product was always a little bit ski whiff, and that's the thing. He used to get that way all the time, and listen, I'm sure he would say it himself, he would beat 4 players and kick the ball out of the park, and listen, Tanecki's not doing that, but I think he really needs to work on his end product, because at the end of the day, we're relying on Tanecki to get down that wing and put deliveries into the box, but the main deliveries we're getting into that box are coming from guys like Sarachi and Tierney.
Right, so see on that, Paddy, just for talking, because listen, we're not, I know it's all positivity, but we're always going to talk about the players. I said, we're going to talk about the performances, and we're going to just sort of pick over the bonesy. There's room for improvement. I think that's the key point here. It's great, but let's not carry it away. It's something to build on. We've had 2 back-to-back positive results. By the way, alert, we've scored 7 fucking goals in 2 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You couldn't have picked 7 goals in 7 games up to this point. So there's plenty to be positive about. But again, at this key point, because the game was in the balance, and of course, when Rangers, regardless of how they pulled themselves back in it, we'll go into that, you believe me.
Aye.
These are the fine moments. These are the fine moments. It's like Negan against Hearts when he does the chip steady blast in the net. See these fine moments when you get these opportunities when you're kind of in a state of flux and you're not working. That's when you really need to capitalise, Paddy. That's why we are maybe being criticising these issues. That's why we're being a wee downbeat on it. Not because we're wanting to flog the player, because we're just desperate to really stamp our authority. And as I say, I think for me personally, and I just want a broad opinion, let us know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with what I'm saying or otherwise? What did you think in general of Tanecki? Because I must admit, he was bright, he was positive, he kept getting forward, right? But what I would say is he failed to really step up and capitalise on the opportunity he had. And what do I mean by that? Look at the facts. Johnny Kenny steps up, delivers, produces the goods. Osmond, who we'll go on to, he has 3 chances. One's a squaff, one's a good save, one's in the net, right? Really capitalising on your opportunities, seizing the moment, grabbing it with throw and saying, here I am, right? Tanecki, for me, was up against a Rangers defence that were absolutely fried, mate. Done. And particularly when they get down to 10 men and doesn't capitalise.
To be fair, mate, they looked terrified. The Rangers defence looked absolutely terrified. Them straight for the start. And I just feel like there's a lot of comments coming in the TikTok as well. I'm trying to kind of keep up with them. A lot of people saying that he cuts back too much. And somebody says Chinizzi and Louis Palma. Unreal.
Steve Wood in the chat said that, mate. He said that.
Did he say that? Oh, I'm not having that, man. That's a bit brutal. The guy's got the ability. He really does have all the ability. And I'd like to see him drive for the byline more. You know, I'm a kind of old school.
Well, this one for Don might be a bit
Mikey Johnson. Oh, mate, that's hard. Somebody said there the Chinizzi and Mikey Johnson. I'm not having that. The guy's got a lot more ability than Mikey Johnson. For me, he needs to get to the byline more. I'm one of these guys. I always sing the praises of guys like Dizamaida who drive towards that byline, putting balls into the box. Because listen, if you put 10 balls into the box and you get somebody like Johnny Kenny or Callum Osmond in there, we're going to score one of them. We're going to get 1 out of 2. Do you know what I mean? So, I'm quite happy. Listen, he played well. The boy played all right. He got on the ball. He's always eager, and he wants to do it. But I think at this point he's wanting to do too much. And he needs to kind of, under Mark O'Neill and under Sean Maloney, I think he'll get a lot better. I think we'll start to see a different side to him. I think he'll get the
absolutely, Paddy. Well, listen, we're sailing over, I don't know the numbers on TikTok here. We're over 200 here. Get your thoughts in. She says, we're not here to talk at you. We're here to talk with you. Let us know what you think. Man of the match, key moments, those VAR decisions, those questionable cards. Because I don't want to dive into this, but I just want to food for thought. I love the social media spin. The best man in the pitch was Saint Walsh. The Celtic man, said nobody ever, right? Who went card daft. Now, this is just me. Call me one of those types, a conspiracy theorist. It just felt as time ebbed on that the cards were just card for you. And it seemed you looked at it, our whole right-hand side, 5 guys on our right-hand side were decimated. We were one shitty tackle away for a red card or 2 or 3. Now, they'll say, oh, but you should have had some. By God, Paddy, I mean, come on, man, come on.
I know, it was, mate. And listen, we'll talk about the incident straight away just now. Let's talk about Theo Asgard booting Tony Ralston right in the crotch. You know what I mean?
In fact, no, let's do, before we get in here, let's get in here. In fact, you know what, there's no phonies post-match. Let's jump it, we'll rewind back. But yes, kind of funny because, mate, it's De Jong against Spain levels of madness. Now, admittedly, he's spinning round, right? He is spinning round and the player's there. But he basically, he gives Ralston an unwanted circumcision. That's the only way to put it. It's straight in the balls and chode, right? It's an absolute agonizer. And fair play. And do you know what? I liked what Tony Ralston done.
Aye,
Because he literally played to the cameras. He extended the rip out. He lifted up the shorts and he showed the studs and went, "There you go."
Aye, exactly. Take that to VAR and see if you can chop it off. See if you can turn it over to a yellow. Listen, the boys
it was
lost control of
fortunate
the ball.
Son didn't get chopped off. By the way, it was that low and that hard.
Aye, listen, the boys lost control of the ball. He really has. He's panicked. He's went in to try and get it back, and no control whatsoever. And he's caught Tony, and it's as blatant a red card as you'll ever see. I don't know what they were whinging about. And their players running over as well. As far as I was made to believe, Steve-O, if you are not the captain of a side, then you cannot be in the referee's
it's supposed
face.
to be the captain that goes and talks.
Right, so what happens with Diamandi and Raskin then when they're right in the ref's face, shouting at him, why is that a red card? Why is that a red card? Why is that a red card? Why weren't they booked for that?
Mm-hmm.
You don't see any other players running over to the ref. Maybe Daiza Maeda, I think, ran over and pushed Asgard to the ground after he had done that. He'd probably deserved a booking for that. But, aye, listen, if something like that happens, it's obviously going to be checked by VAR. So what's the point in running over to the ref and giving him grief and stuff like that? Do you know what I mean? I'm not backing up Nick Walsh. I thought he had an absolute horrible game, but yes, the Rangers fans, they'll say he had a horrible game for them as well. I think it was just an absolute Snyder of a refereeing performance, but for me, it didn't dampen the game. No, it was a good old Glasgow derby. It was a proper end-to-end game, and it was enjoyable as much as it was.
It was enjoyable, as I say. We'll get into the moments, but let's just wind the clock way back a bit there, as we say. Now, the key point is, I think that we spoke of that open 15 minutes, right, where we say there's a couple of chances, right? Taneki doesn't capitalise. Maeda's got a bit to play in that opening 20-odd minutes as well, because there's one great chance where he bursts through, and I think he should burst the net, right? Again, he's brought in out the cold, couple of minutes out, but I tell you what, and again, come back to conversation I had with my mates I was watching with the game, and I says to them, I think that, again, off the back of that, if Brendan Rodgers plays, where's your confidence at? And I says to them, I genuinely believe that there has been rifts with certain players, right? And they says, do you believe so? What do you think? And I says, well, let's judge it on the performance that Daiza Maeda puts in. And he looked like a guy that was, I don't know, converted, mate, right? He was running about mental. He gets his opportunity. I think it's about 15 minutes. He's through on goal. He's unlucky. He probably should do better. But then instantly, 20 minutes later, ball's in the back of the net. Right. And it's Maeda, they give the offside against, and it goes to VAR. Now, I don't know about you, but I am very sorry. And this is the best part about it. You look at the spin, the narrative about Rangers fans saying, Nick Walsh, the 12th man for Celtic and all this pish, right? Let's look at the facts here. Let's look at the facts. In what world can you honestly say that goal that goes in off Raskin's big fizzog is offside?
I know.
And is one of these ones, I don't want to pick and mull over it, but Celtic, Scottish football literally have the Poundland version of VAR. Now, see if you watch the Premier League, you watch Champions League, and you get an offside decision. Normally what you get is you'll get the lines, you'll get the actual in-play graphic, right? It'll then zoom in, it'll go to some digital rendering, and it'll show you within a ball here how offside it is. What we get is a blurry shot of the screen and big thick lines painted in that mean absolutely nothing, right? Now, they tell us I don't know, was it his fucking back stud that was offside for that one? Apparently, it is. The picture is literally as clear as mud. I don't know what it's meant to clear up, mate, right?
Aye.
But we've got Rangers fans telling us that they're getting assistance. For me, that's an easy escape, that one.
Of course it is, mate. Listen, it was, for me, I didn't see it. It took them long enough to actually draw the lines. And then when they draw them, they show you from one angle. They don't show you from side on. It's like kind of over the head. Remember the Jota goal that got chopped off? That shouldn't have got chopped off.
Oh, the one that was taken for the flats at the top end. The top of the flats at the back of bloody well Motherwell, know what I mean?
Unreal. So the camera angles and stuff that they're using for this kind of stuff are absolute garbage, mate. If it's inconclusive, give it. Simple as that. You can't be giving decisions like this. You can't be making things up, basically, is what they've done. Because for me, whether it's his big toe, it's offside, or his heel, or his studs, or whatever, Mate, it's ridiculous. I always refer back. There was a Tottenham game, and I think Harry Kane was playing for Tottenham, so that shows you how long ago it was. And Harry Kane basically had bigger feet than the defender, and that's what it was. It was basically 2 sizes of shoe bigger than the defender, and they cut the goal off. And when it's stuff like that, mate, come on, you go with the striker all the time. It should always have priority over that. Listen, if it's one of these ones that happens and Rangers score that and it gets chopped off, you're delighted, of course you are. But
I think, as McLaughlin saying there, it's a cop-out. It's an easy get out. This is the one thing. This is the one gripe I've got with VAR. I'm not anti-VAR. I'm not against it. But if you're going to do it right, now, as you say, you get one picture, you get one angle, and you get... And not just this as well, mate. The lines are... See, when you watch a Champions League game, you watch a Premier League game, you see the lines. The lines are... We're told the lines are not drawn. The lines are meant to be automatic, right? You watch it. You watch any of these elite leagues or tournaments, right? It's a very straight, fine line. What you get on Scottish VAR is a thick, fuzzy-looking blue and red line. That literally, you can paint it any way you want. See, unless it's about that apart and you can't do it. See, once you start getting a wee nitty-gritty, that kind of stuff, it's not fit for purpose. And to that end, that's when you've got to give an element of advantage to the attacker, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so, mate. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just biased. Maybe that's what it is. A lot of people saying I'm biased in the comments there. There must be a few infiltrators in the TikTok channel.
What I've done is I must be honest, I've deleted someone who's claiming that we allow certain people in the chats. And listen, bear in mind, there's nearly 250 people you want here, right? I'm talking to this man on screen. I'm trying to bring up comments. The comments are running up and down. We can't see everything, right? We take people out who are saying unsavoury things or whatever. It's as simple as that, right? We do not prioritise one person over another. So you're watching the wrong podcast as that's here. We do our absolute utmost best to, marshal things as we can. What we ask is common decency. Don't say anything that you wouldn't want said to you. Don't say anything that would reflect poorly on you, and so on and so forth. That's it. I've already deleted 2 people because I don't want to see arguments in the comments over nonsense. So it's a happy day. Enjoy it.
Exactly, mate. That's it. Listen, at the end of the day, mate, if that goal goes in, if we're given that goal, it's absolute game changer, isn't it? Although we already won, but I mean, at that point in time, if that goes in, that puts the head straight down. You seen Raskin like walking away for that, knowing fine well that he had messed up. I thought it was incredible with Celtic. I thought it was cheeky how quickly they took it. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and it's something that we've not seen for a long time.
I tell you what, so to jump in, Nick Walsh was fuming how quick he took that, by the way.
Of course he was.
Fuming.
He blew the whistle straight away. As soon as he blew the whistle, they went. That was it. Do you know what I mean? He couldn't call it back because he was the one that had authorised it. He was like, right, go. And they went, boom, see you later. And that's why it's went to VAR. And listen, it was Andrew Dallas, whose father, I believe we know as well, was a referee.
Yes. And this is the funny thing. This is the funny thing, mate. The funniest thing here is that, yes, I don't... You know myself, right? Maybe you're a wee bit different, Paddy. You're a wee bit more forthcoming with us. I'm very much like, I know that history will tell us that Celtic have rights to be aggrieved by officiating and SFA and so on and so forth, right? Totally. You're a wee bit more forthcoming. I'm a wee bit more foolishly benefit the doubt, right?
Yeah.
But I just love this instant narrative when things aren't going their way. That beating, for example, a guy who was normally in a Rangers bar and they had flags that said beating CSC is suddenly a Celtic fan, mate. And guys like Walsh are suddenly Celtic fans, and guys like Stevie McLean are suddenly Celtic. Oh, come on, plug your brain in, man. Come on.
I know. Listen, see, at the end of the day, right, regardless if any Rangers fans are watching, the best team won today. I'll tell you that right now. Celtic were the better team. We didn't get help for the referee. We simply scored more goals than Rangers, and that's it. We were the better side, all over the park. every single Celtic player was better than every single Rangers player.
Absolutely. So Paddy, we've went down a wee rabbit hole as we do with these post-match. So let's jump back into the action. So we've talked about the misses, we've talked about Maeda. Let's talk about what happens in the lead up to that, because we said at the time it could be a toss of a coin. You didn't know what you're going to get, and it's actually quite. I like how this mirrors. We get that goal. We think, here we go. It's cut off. Instantly, Rangers out of nowhere getting behind. It's Chermiti, not that guy that scored 2 goals in 5 years and they paid 9 million for. I must admit, terrible defending. He shouldn't be getting in between Trusty and Scales, right? It's arguably a sitter at the back post and is past the post. Now, what I like is Mogonia, it perfectly mirrors what Osman does, right? It's almost an identical chance, identical place, but one guy does it. One guy's 9 million, one guy's 500,000 youth player, buries it, right? But up until then, there's another bit before the goal comes, which we said, Cornelius, we talk about dodgy decisions. Yellow card. Could there be question for a red on that, mate? Because I thought it was a robust challenge, is putting it lightly.
Listen, what is it they say? As soon as there's any studs shown, Steve, then it's got to be reviewed. It's got to be looked at. I don't know, mate. That one for me, I think if they give the yellow on the pitch, I don't think there was enough in it for it to go to a VAR review for a red card. But listen, you've seen them given by different referees. Maybe Nick Walsh had a wee heart moment there, a wee murmur that he decided I better not send him off. I'll just keep it going as it is at the minute. But listen, it's one of the ones you could look at it both ways. I don't think the decision can be overturned, is what I'm going to go with. I think it was a relative decision. I'll go for that.
So then, of course, that builds us right up at that point. It's, I think there's a case that could be possible for that. We've touched on it. The goal from Kenny, it's a brilliant header, mate. Hang it in the Louvre. We always say it's a running joke, but it's a good delivery in. It's a solid header. As I said, Sutton-esque, that way where he attacks it and just crosses it over. Fast, powerful, great header. And you know what? Brilliant, because we were having that debate. I think personally speaking, if you drop Kenny after 2 goals midweek, it destroys him. It destroys him. He doesn't come back for it. If he played today, done 45, 50, 60 minutes in the stinker, fine. Cards on the table, gave you a chance, mate. You didn't deliver, you didn't follow up. Absolutely perfect. And he looked dangerous because after that goal as well, of course, there's another brilliant chance. He bursts through and then there's another shot. He could have had 2 goals, mate, in 2 minutes.
I know. Listen, mate, the goal that he scores, fantastic finish. Just calling him Johnny Larson, absolute belter. He's one of these guys, Steve, like you said, he's full of confidence. And that's what you need for your strikers. You know what it's like. You get them into some sort of drought and you go 5, 6, 7 games. If you're Adam either 9 games, 10 games, doesn't really matter. But guys like Johnny Kenny, I mean, this guy didn't really have a sniff when Brendan was in the team. Yes, he got played because Iheanacho was injured, but guys like him weren't getting into this team, Steve. They weren't getting looked at.
And sorry, on that, and I don't want, I'm going off a tangent. Iheanacho on the bus at Dakota in the stadium. I tell you what, by the way, we know that it's Derby Day and they like to stir the pot and say stuff off injuries and misdemeanors and things like that. But I tell you what, whoever came up with that have got a serious oak to take in the mirror, because of all the things that you can accuse a man of having apparently done. That's fucking the pits, by the way.
Listen, mate, there's been hundreds of it. It's been going about in TikTok as well. Just loads of stuff that you wouldn't even cast your mind to. There's some rotten people out there. And listen, this kind of Derby Day brings them out. It really, really does. But listen,
and it's unfortunate, by the way, it sometimes brings the worst out in people. And again, that's what I'm saying with the chat and folk disagreeing. Listen, we enjoy it. Of course we are. But don't enjoy it at the detriment of going to the lowest common denominator, loads of snake's belly stuff. I mean, come on, let's go.
Yeah, exactly, mate. And listen, you get back to the football. You speak about Johnny Kenny there. I was very impressed with him. I thought he froze himself about the park. Kenrick Larson, aye. Johnny Larson. That's it. Johnny Larson or Henrik, whatever you want to. Henrik Kenny. We'll go for that. That's a good one.
Kenrick, I like Kenrick.
He's he gets himself about the park. He likes to run about and get involved in the play, and that's something that we don't really have for anybody else that we have played in that position. Adam Ida didn't run about. Well, when he did, he ran out to the left-hand side and probably kicked the ball out of the park. But like Kenny gets involved, he likes to get into tackles, he likes to win the ball. He's quick, and he's a big kind of lanky streak of piss. He's a big laddie.
The one thing I liked about Kenny today, and I will definitely say this, is he was more central. My biggest criticism up to this point was the fact that he was always wide and running in at an angle. Today, he was focusing and being in and around the box. He was focusing on being the proper position that you need as a striker. And as we move on, we segue on with the chances. After that, he scores the goal. He has another chance. He scored 2-2. But then we're not out the dark. We're not out the woods yet, because again, Chermiti has an absolute sitter. He's completely free at the back post, and it just showed you how it was, flowing back and forward in the game. Rangers didn't have many chances in it, but any chances they did, as I say, the one that he ghosted between the two defenders, totally by our own design. This one as well, it's a free kick that shouldn't even be a bloody free kick. It's absolutely ridiculous free kick to give away. Engels is the guy that's sweeping. Chermiti thankfully misses at the back post. Yeah. But then in between there's another one as well where Kenny probably should leave it. He's on the high scoring the goal. Nygren breaks through the break of the ball. Him and him come together, and he swipes at it, but he should leave it for Nygren. You can't criticise him for being, up for it, and probably the adrenaline's running on him. But again, it just shows you, again, come back to what I was saying. Wee things, mate. Look at the chances we had. Aside the chances they missed, Celtic could have had 3 by this point, and we're talking about 40-odd minutes.
Aye. Oh, listen, mate, it could have been 3-4-0 at half-time. It really could have. Listen, Rangers had chances as well. Of course they did, and if they take them, then it's a different game. But, aye, stupid wee things like that, Steve-o. Everybody's showing the passion, though, and that's what I liked about the game. I don't mind somebody getting in front of somebody else and having a shot, as long as they're actually trying to get in there. I want people going for 50-50 balls. When we spoke about this game the other night, Steve-o, and previewed it, I said I wanted a wee bit of chaos. I wanted a wee bit of carnage. By God, I got it. Do you know what I mean? I got it. I got everything that I wanted. I wanted to see that intensity. I wanted to see Celtic drive. I wanted to see positivity. I wanted to see people going into tackles. I didn't think they'd be going into tackles, like booting people in the top of the thigh and stuff like that. But I wanted to see a bit of passion, a bit of bite about it. And we got
Absolutely.
that. It was
Absolutely. And as well, just before we finish up, because let's get into what we had just at the tail end of the sort of half. I think for me, the sort of, that was the last sort of thing for us where Kenny swipes at it. And then, of course, we got into the second half, and early on, there's no change. Things come back out. I just want to jump into the first one as well, is where Taneki's through and he's a poor end product. Again, I think that just really summed the lad up. He just lacked end product. He had great intensity, he had great levels of going forward, but as you said, McGeady or Johnson or everybody pick him up to. I was criticised when he came in, and I'll be honest, I hold my hands up. I looked at his stats, I looked at his output, and I went, £5 million. The numbers don't look great. I seen his opening 2 games, and I went, oh, well, I've been proven wrong, right? I don't feel that I've been, on hindsight, and I come back to it, I don't feel like I've been proven wrong. I'm not writing the guy off. I'm not criticising him. I think he was a positive guy, but there's a lot to be learned when you look at who took over from him, when you look at Maeda shifting and you look at Forrest coming on. That's the blueprint for him. That's what he should be doing, because those guys were getting in behind, in particular Forrest. There was an end product in it. If Taneki can work on that end product, then we will have a phenomenal player on our hands. But at this moment in time, just again, not to bring the mood down, he is at risk of being a Nicholas Kuhn. Now, what do I mean with that? Nicholas Kuhn, look at his trajectory, look at his history of teams. Just all right. Always does well enough to get a move to his next team. Has a purple patch, doesn't have to get his move to his next team. And that's it. Dropped away at Celtic, goes to Como, garbage, right? Mm-hmm. Taneki is at risk of being Nicholas Kuhn Mark II. He needs to be more. That's where I'm at with Paddy.
No, listen, I agree with you, mate. I think he's got all the ability in the world. Could you imagine Sebastian Taneki with Kieran Tierney's delivery? Phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? It's unreal with Arnie Engels' delivery, something like that. He's one of these guys, mate. He'll get you the ball all the time. He shows ambition. He shows the prowess to get on the ball. He's quite happy to have it and to drive at players. Cuts inside a little bit too much, in my opinion. But listen, he's one of the players that be one of the first names in the team sheet. For me, I just think, like you said, Steve, the end ball for Tanecki is the issue. There's a lot of people in the chat as well, Steve. The Trusty incident, was that at the end of the first half as well?
Yes, it was. Now, what I would say about that is let's get on to that, right? This is the big bone of contention that they've got, because the one on Asgard it's brutal. It's a foot up. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've looked at it, and at first I went, completely lucky. He should be sent off, right? That's just me. Agree, disagree. Let us know. What did you think? Get it. We'll get some of these comments up. Yes or no, simply, was a red card. Did Celtic get away on Trusty? Let me know. Let's bring them up, right? But for me, at the time, I look at it and I go, oh, for fuck's sake, stupid. Now, Trusty was the man of the match. Now, again, I debated this with some friends in some of my chat groups, and I went, nah, for me, probably Cal McGregor's man of the match for me, right? That was where I was at. And I says, why did I disagree with Trusty? I says, Trusty comes in, he's brought in out of the cold, and you say, look, big man, don't do anything fucking stupid. He was solid. He was solid. He was solid in the tackle. He had a good game. But I always feel a wee bit like Starfelt, a wee bit like Bobo Baldi. He's always got a moment of fucking idiocy in him, right?
Yeah.
And that was his moment of idiocy. And at the time, I felt to myself, he is lucky to get away with that. Now, I've wound it back, and Steve was in the chat. I'll agree. Let us know, mate. We watched it and went, I actually think that he's just a big, slow, laboured defender that's not got good reactions. So he's a wee bit fucking behind the curve. It's a bit slow. But I actually think that, see, when it comes into Butland's hand, he maybe expects it's going to pop up and he's falling in because he thinks he's going to sweep that in, which maybe understandably says why he does it. If he doesn't think that, it's just fucking stupid. And it probably is a red. I genuinely think we get away with one there.
Listen, I totally agree with you. I was sitting, like I said, with Chris and Joe. Chris didn't think it was a penalty, not a penalty, sorry, a red card, sorry. But watching it, like you said, Steve, it's stupid. He's Butland's got full control of the ball. He's got the ball in his hands. There's no need to do it. If they show that, see if that goes to a VAR review.
Why? That's the point. Didn't go to a VAR review because you want to talk about clear and obvious. I know he gives a yellow card, so their argument will be is the referee's cited on it. He gives a yellow card. That is it. Is it as simple as that? Did basically, sorry, jump in. Did Nick Walsh just bottle it and didn't want to send him off?
I don't know, mate. I don't know what Nick Walsh.
No, listen, I don't want him saying it off. I'm just asking for.
I think he should have. If you look at it, right. If that goes to the freeze frame, now to do the wee bit when he walks around and looks at the telly, and they show you the freeze frame, which can make any tackle look horrific. If they show a freeze frame, he trusts his boot on Butland's head, which it was, he's off. It's a red card. Whether there was intensity in it, whether he's put the boot through him, whether he's actually made much contact. I don't think there was much contact, but there was contact. Now, if that happens to your keeper, you're screaming for a red card, mate. And I think we got away with one there. We really, really did. And a lot of people might not like it. A lot of people do disagree with us. I see that. But in my opinion...
And this is a great point that Corey makes on YouTube here. Listen, there's nearly 250 oddies in here. Get your comments up. We'll keep bringing them up. As he says, if it is a red, it ain't getting overturned. So it's one of the ones, Paddy. It's one of the ones.
Exactly, mate. VAR aren't going to get involved either way, I don't think. I think if there's more follow through on it, you've seen Trusty kind of pull his leg back. I think he's kind of realised what he's doing.
Here's one thing I will say, is seeing this, and doesn't change the fact he makes contact with his head tonight. Apparently on the Ravel, they said Butland was bleeding. Now, what's funny is see when he falls down, right? See when he actually falls down, he's diving at the goalkeeper, right? The feet, Trusty, is here, right? It's his right-hand side, see when he gets up, he holds his left. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking wrong on this one. Do you get where I'm going with this, Paddy?
Listen, mate,
right?
it is what it is. It's one of the ones. At the end of the day, there's contact there. And for me, it should have been a red card. But listen, it's
Not a
not.
stamp.
So we
Not
go
a
on. We
stamp.
carry on.
We carry on, and as we did, as we says, now we find ourselves deep into the second half. Now, of course, I asked the question. I says, "What's going to happen with Rangers? Are they going to?" I actually thought it was interesting. They went with two up front, Paddy. I
Aye.
thought that was mental, and that really played into our hands. And seeing that first half, when the midfield was less compact, when we had the spaces, it played right in our hands. Of course, we find ourselves 1-0 up, but as we said, if it went 2-3, even dare I say it 4-0 into half time, nobody could have had any would you call it disagreements about that. In terms as the action picks up and decisions being dodgy, the one that they're all shouting out for is Maeda in the second half. That's the first big moment of debate in that second half. They give Maeda a yellow card for this, Paddy. Right? Now, there's multiple factors here. One, he's got the ref here who's interfering with him. Two, the player's behind him and running across him. He sees the ball and throws his boot up to kick it. The player runs in there.
I know.
How can you be yellow carded for something you don't even know is happening?
Exactly, mate. That's it. We've seen stuff like that happen before. Mind was it the Burnaby penalty when the ball hit his hand at the back of his head or something?
Madness.
Things like that. It's just stupid decisions. And listen, there was a lot of them today. I think the performance that Celtic put in today is going to be overshadowed a wee bit by very, very poor officiating. And that's a shame because I thought we played well. I thought we showed a lot of positivity. I thought it was a lot of players who we've been calling for that actually stood up and were counted. But, I mean, decision-wise, like you say, Dyson Maeda kicking the ball away and the guy's got to run round Nick Walsh and runs into him and he gets booked for it. But listen, Dyson's always good for a yellow card. He's always one of these guys that runs in too fast or just he basically just gets in, tore in about everything, doesn't he? And he's partial to a wee yellow every now and again. So that's what it is. You kind of expected it to come, but when you get it at that stage, Steve, it kind of puts a wee dampener on it. Like you said, our full right hand side were on a yellow.
Of course, it was ridiculous. And then, of course, after that, I felt that it was maybe a balancing of the books. There's a red card in there, and the things start to happen right now. Obviously, up to that point, things start to get a wee bit sort of tasty for ourselves. You know what I mean? Very, very tasty. And there's a couple of things that are a bit rough. Obviously, we get that. Celtic are, they've got the chance, and we should have put them away. There's more chances that come after it. Butland is a good save for a Negrin header. He probably arguably should do better. And it's a clear header sent in the box. And then he makes a second save off the back here from Ralston. Of course, then after that point, that's when the cards start to come a wee bit friendly. Negrin Engels gets added into the equation. And at this point, our right-hand side is walking a tightrope, mate.
Aye. Oh, mate, 100%. You talk about Negrin's chance there as well. Joe, who obviously is a fantastic striker, as we're aware, says to us, he's got to put his head through that and keep it up above the deck. He kind of headers it down, which says takes the power out it. I disagree with that. I felt like he'd done everything right. He put it down towards the keeper's left-hand side, and I think it's just a great save for Butland. I think he's done well to get down to it. What I would be expecting there is to have one of my strikers basically jogging on the spot, expecting that ball to be fumbled. But listen, good save at the end of the day. And on to your other point there, Steve, about the yellow cards. And I mean, how many Celtic players got booked? I don't even know. I didn't check it, but
I think in the end, let me double check. I think in the end it was 5 for Celtic. I'll just give me 1 second. Here we are, right? So far in the game, we had Trusty, we had Ralston, we had McGregor, we had McGregor's card, by the way. That's a great tackle to make. It's one that has to be done. He's getting busted away if he takes one for the team. A good captain's tackle, if you will. Engels, Maeda, and then Osmond gets booked late on. Now, in comparison, Rangers have Suter, Cornelius, Raskin, but they kind of come on a wee bit. Other than Cornelius, they come on late in the game, mate, when it doesn't really that matter much.
Okay, that's it, mate. And listen, you always say it when you get an early booking, you're kind of scared and you back out of tackles and stuff like that. And I don't know whether that, like you said, trying to kind of even the game up a little bit. Obviously, because he's probably felt bad about sending off Asgard, and you kind of look at it at that stage, mate. I felt like
Asgard should have been sent off for his haircut. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Looks like a crash helmet. But anyway, sorry, I digress. That's my petty dig.
Aye, fair play. Crash helmet head, Lego head, whatever you want to call him. Aye, listen, at the end of the day, mate, we're all carrying kind of bookings there, 4 or 5 bookings at the same time. And that's when I thought that the kind of raft of changes were going to come. And I thought we'd have seen pretty much everybody that was on a booking basically getting took off, because you don't want to risk anything, especially in a game of that magnitude, and especially when Rangers kind of got back into it as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, up till, as we say, so just where we're at in terms of the action, just referring back to the notes, yep, you know, there's a couple of chances there that we get, and then just before they score, of course, there's 2 very key moments for us. One is the rejuvenated James Forrest that comes on. I think when Forrest comes on, Paddy, he really, really offers us so much more. The drive's there, the directness is there, the threats there that I just didn't feel that Taneke offered. He was going forward, he was trying to make things happen, but James Forrest is just so much more purposeful. And I know a lot of that's to do with experience. I know a lot of that's to do with, you know, he's long in the tooth and he's vastly experienced, but guys like Taneke should have been looking at it. See what we were talking about, where you've got a wounded animal and a backline in disarray. Taneke should have been doing what Forrest came on doing, going at them, scaring them, trying to make them, force them into making bad tackles, bad decisions, and it was night and day. Forrest is unlucky. Funnily enough, the one that he doesn't have the time to think about and he smashes it off the bar, when it comes back to him, he skies it, and let's be honest, it's a sitter. The one he hits the bar is harder than the one he puts it over me.
I know. Listen, how much would that have been? How much would you have loved that, Jamesy Forrest, to get a goal against them?
But you know what's well? Sorry, jump in. Slices of luck. Aye. See, and I hate to say it, see if that's Celtic, see the flailing leg for Butland, it hits off it and it's in the net.
Aye.
That would have been our luck.
Oh, mate, honestly, like Jamesy Forrest, I thought when he come on, mate, he totally rejuvenated, reborn. Do you know what I mean? It's like Lazarus. What a comeback this guy's had, honestly. He's just been...
Take that, George Foreman.
Aye.
There are others.
There are others, mate, honestly. Jesus, of all people, there you go, there's another one. Do you know what I mean? Like,
the best comeback ever.
Aye. Better come back than Oasis. Honestly, I just thought he was outstanding. I really, really did. I thought James Forrest, when he come on, changed the game for me again. He shows so much. He drives and just shows so much passion. He's one of these players, he gets it, and it's nice to see other players kind of buying into it as well. You see like you guys like Engels and even Callum McGregor, when Forrest comes on, they get that wee push, they get that wee bit of drive from him. It just seemed to bring everybody else's game up to his level. And mate, I don't know. Can you drop somebody like James A. Forrest? I know you're only going to get 60 minutes out of him. Well, I'd play him for 60 minutes.
Well, I tell you what, he's given some serious questions. As we look towards Michelin, I think you've got to go with him. I think you really have got to go with him. But then, of course, that comes in saying, is that at the expense of Maeda or Taneke? Now, dare I say it, Taneke's been positive, but I would rather have 60 minutes for the start of Forrest and Maeda on the wings than I would Taneke at this moment in time. And that's not a criticism or saying that the guy's not playing well. Just in terms of actual end product and threat, both of them are, you know, more threatful than Taneke for me. Taneke's a bit of a golden deceiver. You know, he looks good on the eye, and then you really scratch on the surface and you go... And I'm not saying that's what he's going to be. That's not me writing him off. I'm just talking about in this moment in time. Loads of intensity, loads of running, but it really doesn't do anything. We don't score goals after what he's doing. Yeah. Whereas what Forrest's doing, what Maeda's likely to do, looking rejuvenated, of course, there's a higher chance you're going to score goals off of that.
Aye. I'd love to see that, mate. James Forrest on the right, Maeda on the left, and Johnny Kenny or Osmond take your pick through the middle. Obviously Kenny, I think, will get it because he's on a wee bit of form just now. But I just think James Forrest gives you so much, just mate, intensity again, just so much directness. It's just so direct. It just keeps going, and he drives and drives and drives, and They don't know whether he's going to the byline or he's cutting inside or whatever. It's
So
brilliant to see, mate.
after these chances are there's 2 key points. We're pretty much up to the penalty point here. Big shout out to Scales. Great tackle on Gassama.
Yes.
Gassama's through. I
Well
think that's a goal-saving opportunity. But then instantly, let's jump straight into it. This penalty. Now, I'm sorry. This isn't green tinted specs. I cannot see how you can give this as a penalty.
Mhm.
The term that gets used is putting your body on the line, right? Throwing your body in the way. That is the epitome of what Ralston does here. He is literally skinned. He's nowhere to go. So he's like, I'll just torpedo my body on the deck and hope the ball hits me. He's literally diving like this. Now,
Yeah.
I understand that as he's falling, does his elbow lift a wee bit? Yes, it does. But why is that? Because he's probably thinking, I'll fall into my elbows because that's a lot better than falling like that. Boom, face, chest. You know, he's literally protecting himself. And somehow they deem that as being a deliberate handball. Now, I'm sorry. Now, I know if you want to talk about t-shirt line, if it hits your elbow and all this, it's a penalty. But game-changing when you're like that and the elbows like that because you're trying to fall forward on to your elbows. That's what he's trying to do, mate. Is this just balancing the books?
The rule book stipulates that if your hand is in an unnatural position away from the body, then it can be deemed a penalty. Now, like you say, Steve, you've highlighted it, and for the people on TikTok, Steve was shown Ralston fell like this. Hands by his side, tucked in. Yes, his elbows have come down because he's landed, but, mate, you can't give that. It's a stupid decision. And for me, like you said, Steve, is it even in the books up? Is it given a wee chance here or there? I think VAR's got to intervene with that, mate. That VAR's got to have a look at that and say, do you know what? No, his hand isn't in an unnatural position. He's fallen to the ground. It's not as if he's put his hand down. It's hit him on the actual arm or whatever. It's hit him just at the elbow, mate. And I think in the commentary they said it's hit just below the elbow at the side of his hand, so therefore it's a penalty. I think that was Stephen Craigan trying to justify it, but mate, nah. For me, it's absolute bull.
It's poor.
It's very, very poor.
It's poor, but as you say, it is what it is. Penalty Rangers, ha 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 ha.
Aye.
They score it as what it is. But then, of course, we're undeterred. And let's just bring it back to where we are. Before we score to go ahead, that absolute topper for Cal McGregor, there's 2 chances. One falls to Osmond. I think, to be honest, again, credit to the boy. I'll just speak as I found it. It's an unacceptable miss. The one he's through is unacceptable. It's poor. He fluffs his lines, he shits his pants, and he just plays it straight to the goalkeeper. All he literally has to do is a wee bit of conviction, slightly lift it above the goal, and it's in. Right?
He's a young laddie. There's a chance a bit too early for him, I think.
Yes, it's no disrespect to the player. It's just factual. It's a poor miss. It is. And then, of course, another one straight after it is Hatate, which, see, to be honest with you, I don't know what you think about Hatate. I know he's one of your favourites. I just want to ask this to you. I'm not interested in Hatate anymore. Hatate's fucking gave in, right? And I'll wind in his miss into what I will also fall upon was his demeanour or lack thereof. People say, oh, they're the body experts, body language experts. Cal McGregor fucking roasts one down the middle to go 2-1 up, and he doesn't even look remotely interested, excited, bothered, or congratulating. Just turns around. He does not care, by the way.
Yeah. For me, I think he's checked out, Steve. I really do. He's not the Hatate that I fell in love with. He's not the real Hatate that I kept calling for. He comes on, mate, and he slows the game down. He's taking 5 touches, 6 touches, whereas before we were taking 1 or 2. He's always turning back. He's looking to play the ball back to a defender. He's still playing Brendan Rodgers' ball. That's exactly what Hatate's doing. He's wanting to keep the ball. He's wanting to play the horseshoe of death. He's wanting to do other things. He doesn't have this ability to then turn around and actually start pushing and driving forward like your guys like Engels was doing. See, for me, mate, as much as it pains me to say, I would pick Arnie Engels over Rio Hatate every single week now. I really, really would. And that
Yeah.
coming from me, I don't know, like obviously people on the TikTok here don't
Oh, it's
know.
huge for you. It's huge for you.
For me,
Huge.
I called Arnie Engels out every single week. I really did. It was one of these guys that for me wasn't doing enough. Now I've started to see so much for him. I really, really have. And I thought today he was absolutely outstanding. I really, really did. And against Falkirk again, outstanding, rejuvenated player. And it's because he's been given that freedom. Because I think Brendan Rodgers had the ability to overcoach people, overcoaching players and telling them to do too much. I think Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney coming in really, really simplified this. I think the players have been given that freedom, given that chance to just go out and enjoy their football. And you can see so much of them doing it, mate. And it's going to, the people like Rio Hatati in that squad are going to get found out. They really, really are. He should have been off.
If you don't want to train 3 out of the 5 days with intensity, aye,
He'll be in my squad.
he'll not be. Honestly, we make a joke,
get
but
it, mate,
it's so true. He is literally the epitome of if you want to coast. He's just no interested. But listen, mate, let's talk about the McGregor goal. We've been shouting out McGregor the past 2 games, and dare I say it as well, into the Hearts game in flashes, faded second half. But the past 3 performances from McGregor have been a massive, marked improvement. Now, again, come back to, and I keep saying this, the people I was watching the game, me talking to them, I says, as much as there was a united front from McGregor and the whole Brendan Rodgers and we need to do this and that, just for debate's sake, just to maybe stir the pot for a wee bit of sensationalism, I suggested that was maybe players that had checked out of the Brendan Rodgers mantra and the Brendan Rodgers way of thinking. Is Callum McGregor one of these guys? Because let's be honest, the way he was playing is not the way that Callum McGregor should be playing.
Yeah. Mate, as soon as he scored it, I put it in the chat to yourselves, and it's like, where's this guy been? Callum McGregor, for the best part of 2 months, let's face it, it's been shit. He's been nowhere. The game against Hearts, passenger. Guys like wee Cammy Devlin owned him against Hearts. And, mate, that's not us being overcritical or whatever. This guy, I sat on this same podcast, mate, and I had a wee rant about how Callum McGregor's the only person I know that could drag this team from the brink of anything to a victory. How he was the person that I thought should be in charge of that midfield, how the drive, the passion, the desire to get this team and grab them by the scruff of the neck. And I hadn't seen that. It was one of the things, mate. But yet again, he was the first name in the team sheet every single week. And you look at today's performance. I mean, I disagree with you, Steve. I know you said for you it was a man of the match game, but I disagree with that. But I thought he was brilliant. I thought he had an absolutely fantastic game, and that's what we need. We need to see stuff like that for Callum. How many goals did he get last year for similar positions? It was about 10. I think you're on mute, Steve-o. I can't hear you.
And you know, it's amazing what you can do when you just decide to shoot on site. Now, what I would say is I've seen a lot of people criticising going, oh, Butland should do better, but when you watch it, he's actually unsighted with Suter's big, broad body that's in the way. He probably thinks the shot's going to his as he dives to his right,
Yeah.
but it goes down the middle. So, you know, he probably thinks that's why he goes, and by the time Suter's out the way, it's straight down the throat of him. So, if I go, I care. I don't need to, defend Jack Butland, but for a goalkeeping perspective, I don't think it's bad for the goalkeeper. I think it's just he's literally unsighted, but it's a great shot. It really, and again, talk about the simple things, talk about the passion, the desire, the aggression, the run away, the celebrating, the sheer joy. It really lifted the team at a key point when he did it. We're sitting there, and it's a brilliant time to score a goal, an absolutely brilliant time to score a goal. Phenomenal time to score a goal. Really gives us the wind in our sails again, because we'd kind of let Rangers into a wee bit. They started to find a bit of foothold in the game. They weren't massively threatened, but they were still there, and you had to be a wee bit sort of weary of them. I think Butland makes a couple of good quality saves, and then of course after that, again, Butland makes another good save. Come back to the chances you spoke about Osman. I think one is, for me, unacceptable. The one at the back post, should bury it. The second one, the diving header, it's a good save from Butland. And then, of course, Taylor to goalkeepers. Great save from Butland to keep them in at that point. Great save immediately after, once again, from Gassama, from Kasper Schmeichel to keep us in the game.
Yeah. Listen, it was a double save as well, Steve, wasn't it? He does it pretty much one after the other. I thought Casper, you can say what you want about him. He had a decent enough game. I thought he was. He's one of these other guys who, again, I was calling for him to be changed out. I was calling for him to maybe be given a wee rest because it just looked like he checked out as well, didn't he? He was one of these guys that he wasn't performing. And listen, it could be down to what the defenders are doing in front of him as well. And let's face it, Liam Scales has a match-winning tackle, what you pointed out earlier on, Steve. Trusty's got a few interceptions in there. And listen, I thought defensively we done well. But having Casper playing like that and pulling off a few decent saves is something that we've missed. It's something that we've been lacking a wee bit. So that was very, very positive for me. And listen, on the Callum McGregor thing as well, there's a lot of people in the comments here saying like that's what we've missed. We've missed that leader. We've missed somebody in the middle of the park to actually control the game and point about. You see that after Callum had scored the goal as well. He started pointing a wee bit more and getting the head up a little bit. And that's what we need, mate. If anybody needed a goal, it was Callum. It really was.
Now, he finished it off, Paddy, before we sort of bring it all home. Of course, we can't not talk about the guy in the thumbnail. Callum Osmond, 3 chances in the game. One's a great save. One's a poor miss. One's in the back of the net. Now, I will say I criticised, by comparison, Srirachi, Tierney. It's a great delivery in. It's a solid ball in. It's a phenomenal delivery. It's a great, as I say, echoes the chance that Chermiti missed early on in the first half where he splits the defenders. He gets on the end of it and he puts it away. Loads of badge pumping, loads of passion. Love it. Deed and buried. Empties the Rangers end. Love that. Brilliant finish, Paddy. It just begs the question. We sat here and we said the one thing that you won't get out of this temporary regime is they will not favour one over the other. If you're an option, if you're there, you will get a chance to play, right? You will get a chance and you'll be involved. Of course, we can talk about Bernardo's inclusion. We can talk about, Simpson, Peugeot and all that kind of stuff. We'll get on to that. If that continues on, we might have those discussions. But are you trying to tell me, I'm not saying because he scored today, Osmond is the solution, right? But the one thing I would say in the very brief period that I saw of Osmond, now again, this isn't a criticism because folk won't like me doing that because he scored a great goal and he scored 2 in the game against Falkirk. See if you could cross the best bits of Kenny and the best bits of Osmond.
Yeah.
You have a perfect player, right? See the stuff that Kenny doesn't seem to have, Osmond's got it.
Yeah.
And see the stuff that Osmond doesn't have, Kenny's got it. And that goes back to the idea of accentuating the positives and hiding the negatives.
Yeah. Listen, mate, I thought young Osmond was good. I thought when he come on, he showed again the passion, the drive, exactly what we've been asking for. He's got a cracking turn of pace about him as well. Likes to play on that shoulder, the last defender, which obviously if you're John Suter and you're coming to the end of that game and you see a young laddie, 17 years old, want to run at you, want to take you on, want to get in behind, you're shiting yourself. It's the last thing any of them wanted. He showed the desire, he showed the passion that we've been missing up top. And again, I asked the question, where has he been? Why has he not been given an opportunity before? Because we've had shite in there before, Steve. We've had people in this position, and you've watched guys like playing Johnny Kenny against Hearts and whatever. Yeah, Johnny Kenny's doing okay just now under new management, but where was Callum Osmond? Where was he getting this opportunity? Do you see his interview as well?
Paddy, I'll ask you this question. For the brief period he was out, did he look out of place?
No. Not at all.
Not that way you sometimes get the likes of, wind the clock back and you get a youth player. We all talk about bring the academy guys in, right? And you put on a youth player, even dare I say it, you put on a Ben Doak, the occasions he played for us, and you went, he just looks all right.
Karamoko Dembele, guys like that.
But you could kind of understand why they weren't in about the squad. Even the performance you saw, I didn't think he looked out of place.
No.
And I'm racking my brains, and it just baffles me as to why he's never been considered as an option. Certainly not the solution, but it comes back to an option. Why wouldn't you have somebody that's a striker on the bench? No, I mean,
listen, mate, I totally get it. I thought the young laddie was brilliant, and watching his interview as well, man, I was nearly greeting. Do you know what I mean? I didn't expect that. Oh, it was one of the best days of my life and stuff like that. He's absolutely buzzing. Listen, fantastic. Seeing a young laddie coming on. I think the last time I felt like that was somebody coming off the bench and scoring like a young boy was probably Mark Burchill, and that was against Rangers as well in a 5-1 game. And listen, brilliant to see these young guys getting out there and getting confidence. And I think that's what Martin O'Neill's installed in this team, mate. Is confidence. You see it, the players are going about there, the heads are held high, the heads are up. There's so much passion and so much desire to play in this team for Celtic, and we've not had that all season. We really haven't. They've been in the door about less than a week, and what a change, mate. What a change. Honestly, brilliant.
I think there's a lot to be said about getting an element of freshness. As I had said, you know, we'll still remain to find out what the backdrop is with the other persons that left, including Kennedy, right? But I think it was imperative that Celtic had a total fresh set of eyes on this.
Yeah.
A total fresh set of eyes where it's a wee bit more ruthless, because let's be honest, your assistant manager and your main coaching staff will have an element of sway on who stays in the squad.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Kennedy, great servant, you know, gave everything to Celtic. Whether you think he should have been there or not for that amount of times, neither here nor there. I've had that conversation. But if you've got a guy like him still hanging about, Rio's this, Rio's that, he can plant seeds.
Aye.
When he's no there, those guys are simply picking players based on what they see in training, what they think they offer. And that, so far, the 2 games has given dividends, and that is as good as you can say. Now, the one thing, to bring it all home, Paddy, great result, 3rd goal goes in, dead and buried. Rangers are emptied, stands gone, game's over. Do you know what I like today? And I don't like cheating, right? I wouldn't say cheating, gamesmanship, the dark arts, if you want to call it. There was a wee bit of shithousery about Celtic today that's been long missing. Whether it was wee skirmishes off the ball, arguing, you know, pushing about, you know, scrapping. But also, every time somebody goes into the back of them, player went down, foul, right? Because let's be totally honest, that is exactly what Rangers done is against us. And one of the best ones that comes into it, Kasper Schmeichel deserves a particular shout out for it. It's about 100 minutes, 105 minutes or something, and Miovski's through. And you see Miovski, he looks at him, and he thinks Kasper's going to get down, so I can dive and you take me out.
Yes.
He stays on his feet, and he ushers him, because he knows he's going to fucking jump.
Yeah.
And he jumps, and Kasper's on his feet and goes, fuck you doing.
Aye.
Proper bit of game management there for Celtic today, I thought.
Aye, that was an absolute belter. We sat and we called it straight away. Like, Miovski's just looking to go down there.
He looks at him.
Yeah, looks directly at him and he's thinking, keeper's coming for me here, I'm going down. And end of the day, it was a cracking save by Kasper Schmeichel.
And here's an orbit. Did you actually hear it? Did you hear Tav's post-match interview where he laid mention to that? No. He basically says, paraphrasing, words to effect, if he gets down, it's a penalty. So in other words, he cheats.
Wow.
He mentions it.
Aye. Well, that just shows you, mate. That's the mentality of them. They've looked at that game and thought the only way we can beat them is penalties. And listen, they get one, it brought them back into the game. But at the end of the day, the cream always rises to the top. And today, mate, it most certainly fucking did.
Absolutely, Paddy. Absolutely. And, you know, thank you to everybody. We've been about 250 odd live throughout the course of this stream. We really appreciate it. Plus, what's on TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok and you can hear it, transfer over, hit subscribe. YouTube's our main destination. If you are watching casually, you've no subscribe, what are you doing? Gosh, you know, hit subscribe. Support the channel. We're so close to 3,000. Help us get there. But, Paddy, to bring it all home, it's a good result. It's a positive result. I think it was as they like to say, the monkey on our back that we had to get off. Yes. It was something we had to shake. It was a hoodoo, whatever term you want to put on it. It was definitely something that we had to shake off, because Celtic hadn't won a big game since, let's be totally honest here, RB Leipzig was probably the last big game that Celtic stood up were counted and put in a proper performance. You can talk about results, about comebacks for Motherwell, comebacks for, what do you call them? Fucking wasn't it? Falkirk. You can talk about Falkirk result. You can talk about Motherwell. You can talk about comeback for the death against Kilmarnock and all that kind of stuff. This was the first real proper marquee game that Celtic have actually put in one, and it's something massive that we needed, mate.
Aye, I say, mate, that's it. It was a performance that we've been calling for. We've been on here and we've sat and we've had to rifle through shite looking for positives. We really have. We've had to kind of try and look for so many different positives in.
And I've just jumped in. I want to bring us up for Jazz. It was Gassama. Tav's talking about Gassama should go down a trusty and basically get trusty sent off, and it turns into a penalty. There you go. That sums up their mentality.
Okay, mate, that's it. And listen, it's then, like I says there, we've been on here and we've been rifling through pish, mate, basically trying to get positives for the game and stuff to talk about and stuff like that. And do you know what? That makes it a hell of a lot easier. It makes it so easy to come on here and actually sit and talk about the game and break it down, because there was so many positives for your side. Like, I don't even know, in the chat, tell us in the chat who you reckon your man of the match was, because I can't really decide. I was between Tony Ralston, it was between Arnie Engels, Steve reckon Callum McGregor. I don't know. Who do you think? What's your thoughts on it? I've no idea. I couldn't really put my finger on it. Somebody in here saying Scales, Casper, Engels. Do you know what I mean? There's some big Scales I don't think done much wrong as well. And it was nice to see the defenders actually charging out for the back as well, Steve-O. That was quite good, wasn't it? Seeing like pressing forward and stuff like that. So, a very, very positive result. I'm quite happy on how it's all went. And yeah, fucking onwards and upwards. Let's do it.
Absolutely, Paddy. So, I mean, to close it up and bring it home, we march on towards Michelin. They spoke to Martin O'Neill at the end. He says, I know what to expect to Michelin. They look strong, they look confident, they look like a decent team.
Yeah.
He's got to say that. It's an away game, of course, nothing's a given, but you probably fancy your chances maybe more against Michelin than you did, for example, in the away game against Red Star. That's all I'm saying. Aye.
Well, let's think about this game, Steve. Is Martin O'Neill going to be in the punditry box, or is he going to be in the managerial space?
Paddy, it all depends on what you want to believe, and of course it's all rumour and innuendo, and the reality is nobody actually fucking knows. That's what it is, right? If you buy into what Strachan is saying, and he turns around and claims on the radio that Celtic need to wait till December to get their ideal candidate, that suggests that that's Kajel Nutchen. Again, whether that's just pot stirring, who knows? I think that for me, Celtic need to have a manager coming in no later than after the international break that's coming up.
Yeah.
However, if it's going to be early December and it would be someone like Newton, you can understand. So long as Celtic continue what we're doing right now, so long as we continue is irrelevant. If the wins continue, you can span it out. And to actually quote a song that the Rangers fans sang, but to put a different spin on it, temporary interim management team, as long as they're winning, you've got to roll with it. The board have got to take their time. They've got to find the right guy.
Aye, exactly, mate. And that's it. Listen, I'll be quite happy. See if it's going to be Knutson in December. A guy who, let's face it, out Ange balled Ange. This guy knows what he's doing. He's had Bodo Glimt playing absolutely brilliant football. If he's going to be the guy that's coming in, if he's going to be our new manager, then I'd be quite happy with Martin O'Neill staying there until December. With Sean Maloney obviously doing all of the kind of legwork underneath him. And I'd like to see Fozzie stay as well. I don't know whether he would, whether he's only came in because of Martin, but I'd like to see Fozzie stay because, listen, mate, we've seen a difference. We kind of laughed and we joked.
I'm going to play the clip. I know it's completely out of context, but I need to listen to the man.
If you're not training with intensity and you do 3 days out of the 5 days, you'll not be in my team. I've got a good group here. And the team, the starting 11 and the subs, they earned the right. If you want the cost, just stay at home. You're not going to play for me.
There you go. That's that. And
fucking love
do
it.
you know what? It's kind of funny because this is the kind of we normally laugh at Rangers and that. Oh, I don't know why. This is so uncharacteristic me. I love his big fat meathead, right? I love it. He's brilliant. I love his big dome, right? I just love that. Yeah, and it's just what we need. As I say, we need a refresh. And I'm not against these guys staying about. Definitely not. Let's see where it goes.
Exactly, mate. And listen, Sean Mahoney obviously said as well when he was interviewed that he didn't expect to get the job, that he would step back down to his youth development job and basically do what he's been doing there. But listen, guys like Fozzie coming in, and like Martin's been brought in, like I said, to pacify the fans. He's been brought in to get smiles back on our faces. And it's worked. Watching these interviews and watching the crack that he's got, and like sitting Neil Lennon calling him gaffer and stuff as well. That was lovely. A nice wee touch. Obviously still got that respect for him. Listen, brilliant, mate. These guys have been brought in and they've totally changed the dynamic of the way Celtic are playing, the way the players are thinking. Callum Osman there in his interview as well, saying that Martin O'Neill showed belief in him. Whether Martin O'Neill had seen him playing or not, whether Martin O'Neill had actually known anything about this young laddie, for him to come in and say, listen, son, I've watched you play, you're really, really good. I think you do great things going forward. Let's go do it. Mate, fucking brilliant. I really want to see this push on. I really do.
Absolutely. Well, anyway, Paddy, listen, thank you very much for joining us. We went almost an hour and a half. That's the nature of the beast. And in fact, it's an hour and a half. It's always going to be after a game against Rangers, but it just hits a wee bit different, doesn't it? It's been a long time since we've come on after one of these games and we've enjoyed it. We've had reason to be optimistic. To clarify again, to bring it back, spin it as you will. The narrative will be brilliant. You know, you'll see it on social media. You'll see it in other podcasts. You will see it on the radio. You'll hear it on the radio. Let's not let anything else fool you.
Yeah.
People find excuses for shortcomings. Celtic weren't perfect. Far from it today. But everything will show you, and I'll show you something right now. If you can have any argument with this, that's only tell part of the journey. But if you can have any argument with what I've just put up there, it's a bad day for you. 22 shots versus 12, 10 on target versus 4, goalkeeper 3 saves, 7 of theirs. Mental that we apparently create that many fouls, but there you go. 22 shots, 10 on target. Yeah, Paddy, come on. I mean, don't let it fool you.
Exactly, mate. Listen, give me the odds in the oil business, I'll be a rich man. We've clearly went out, Steve, and we've went out with the bit between our teeth. And I'd said the other night when we were on a podcast, and I did say it before 2 or 3-1, so I'll take a wee bit of credit for that.
I said 2-1. I said 2-1 up. We were no far off it. But anyway, listen, Paddy, thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure. It's been great to sit here and enjoy one of these victories. Go and dine out on social media. You'll probably need to be revived and brought back to life. You'll probably take an overdose and all the absolute pain that's going out there. Some of the narratives that have been spun are wild. Yeah. And as we say before, do you know what? It's been a long time since I've actually had a chance to play this clip. But you know what? Because it's going to be absolute electric tomorrow. It's gutter press, it's terrible, but I tell you what, it's going to be fun. You know what? They're all singing Danny Rowe, and then
I think that was the Celtic fans, mate. They were singing that.
It's no Sample. I tell you what, I know I liked as well, and you'll get told it because he went over and clapped empty stands. He just gets it. He's clapping one man in his dunk. He just gets it. He gets it all right. 3-1, he gets it. That's the thing, you know. I asked you the question the other night, and I says, did you think there was any level of embarrassment for one person to lose over the other? And it seemed like a strange question at the time. But yeah, if they can't be embarrassed with that, because Celtic showed up for a change, mate.
Yes, exactly, mate. And listen, it's one of the ones we've been calling for it. We've been asking for players to turn up in the big games, and we've highlighted players and we've called players out on it and things like that. But today, everybody to a man stood up and fucking earned their crust, mate. They really, really did. They went out there and they showed the passion, they showed the desire, they showed the what word, Steve-O?
Intensity.
They showed the intensity. We went for it. And do you know what? We got the results, mate. And that's it. The be all and end all today. I don't care if it was 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, whatever. I didn't care what the score was going to be. All I wanted was the correct result. And that's what we got.
Absolutely.
And we got it, mate. We're in the final, up against St Mirren. And listen, you've got to be confident going into that. You've got to be going into that with your head held high, thinking there's
14th of December.
You know what I mean?
Celtic, apparently, ideal candidate comes around December. I tell you what, I don't normally buy into romanticism. I don't normally buy into this bleary-eyed pish, but I tell you what, it would be a cracking story if Maloney and Neil can stabilise the ship between now and then and walk off into sunset with another trophy under their belt. That would be perfect. So anyway, listen, thank you. We've been dead on an hour and a half there. Thanks, Paddy, for joining me. Thanks, everybody else, for joining us as well on Twitter, on X, on YouTube. Get yourself involved. Remember, youtube.com/at Celtic World Order Pod. That is our main destination. If you haven't done it, hit subscribe. Caution on. Help us get the word out there. Take care of yourself. God bless. Until the next time, Paddy, you tell them all.
Take care of yourself, guys. And as always, hail, hail.
See you later. Bye-bye.